No, stop. Don't do it, Marilyn.
No? This here dame don't take no for an answer. Oh, solo mio, welcome to my show. A response video I want to show. Shawn the Book Maniac suggested me I make this video. I want you to see. Aloha and welcome back to my channel. I'm Marilyn, at times called Maya, the baby boomer booktuber. And as you probably maybe can tell by my opening, this is a response video. My friend Shawn the Book Maniac, as we all know him, made a video 2 weeks ago about Lithub. And Lithub, it's called Lithub, 38 Novels You Need to Read This Summer. 38. That's a lot of books. I don't know if everybody is familiar with Lithub. So this is my only magazine that I subscribe to. It's Writer's Digest. And believe it or not, I found a lot of new books and new writers just by reading this. And I use it mainly for writing tips and writing. And they come up with a yearly 23rd Annual 101 Best Websites for Writers. And it's not only for writers. And under the creativity, there's Lithub, or Literary Hub. And it says, partnering with publishers, non-profits, journals, and bookstores, as well as producing original content, Lithub works to feature free content daily. From book reviews to daily giveaways, Lithub is focused on collecting and showcasing a wide variety of literary content. And it's a pretty good website. So if you're interested in writing, as many in booktubers are, or just, learning about new authors, this is a great place to, this is, like I said, the only magazine that I still subscribe to. And it's a very interesting magazine. Well, let's get on to the video. Of these 32 new books, as I told Shawn in the comments, I'm a slow picker of books. So he said, well, why don't you make a response video to it? And I looked really carefully, and at first I had about 10 picks, but after really getting into researching, I realized that a lot of them weren't for me, and I was left with a few picks. Most of them were Shawn's picks also, and I'm going to talk to you about them. Okay. On to the first book. It's called Magma, and it'll be here, and that's the art copy, which, as Shawn brought out, it's not the copy that you're going to get probably if you buy the book. But this was one of my favorite books. And if you know my content, I'm trying to focus on older women authors, but yet all the books that I'm picking are not about older women authors. And this is Magma. And bear with me, I was practicing how to pronounce. She's an Icelandic author. And the name is Thora Hjörleifsdóttir. I tried to practice. Hjörleifsdóttir. And the translator is Matich. I didn't practice her name. So what is it about? 20-year-old Leisha is in love As a young university student, she is quickly smitten with the intelligent, beautiful man from school who quotes Derrida and reads Latin and cooks balanced vegetarian meals. Before she even realizes, she's moved in with him, living in his cramped apartment, surrounded by sour towels and flat diet Cokes. As the newfound intimacy of sharing a shower and a bed fuels her desire to please her partner, his acts of nearly imperceptible abuse continue to mount undetected. Leisha desperately tries to be the perfect lover, attempting to meet his every need. But in order to do so, she gradually lets go of her boundaries and starts to lose her sense of self. With astounding clarity and restraint, Hjörleifsdóttir sheds light on the commonplace undercurrents of violence that so often go undetected in romantic relationships. She deftly illustrates the failings of psychiatric systems in recognizing symptoms of cruelty, and in poetic, powerful prose depicts the unspooling of a tender-hearted woman desperate to love well. This really pulled me in. Everything about it. I was in a variety of relationships that had mentally abusive aspects to it. And 20 years old, you really don't know who you are. I mean, even at 40, at 60, sometimes you get into a relationship with a person and you think that that person is the best in the world, the bee's knees, as they said in the 20s. I don't know. But they turn out to be either narcissistic or cruel, and have psychiatric problems that cause them to be, gaslighting and all kinds of things. This really spoke to me, and definitely this is on my definite list. Then I looked at a few other books that he had picked. What it says in the blurb is that unflinching in its portrayal of 21st century life, Hamya, it's by Jo Hamya, it's called 3 Rooms, and startlingly accomplished debut poses vital questions about race, politics, and ideology through the struggles of an educated young woman adrift in a country where inequality is deepening and nationalism is on the rise, and that's the UK. And the author is a woman of color. So then I read a few negative reviews. One said it's a plotting. Now, I don't mind plotting or slow. It follows a group of jet-setting young professionals in The Hague, where a translator finds herself enmeshed in the private lives of her colleagues. And a lot of, they said, how do you change from place to place? It's autumn 2018, and a young woman moves into a rented room in university accommodations, ready to begin a job as a research assistant at Oxford. So basically, she's trying to find a place, like A Place of Your Own, A Room of Your Own by Virginia Woolf. So some people say it's incisive, originally, and brilliantly observed. And other people say it felt like self-indulgent, badly written autofiction. So I was wondering if, because this woman is a person of color, that she's being downgraded because of it, and that it says this would work a lot better as a short collection of essays. The narrative tone didn't work, and they also mentioned that it has no speech endings like said, and they didn't like that. But I'm still on the fence about this book because it's a debut novel, and I don't know too much about the UK and politics and Brexit, so I think it's a good place to start. So, like I said, I'm on the fence with it, and I'm not sure if the bad reviews are really accurate. So I want to find out for myself. Now, the next book, which will be here, is called Catch the Rabbit. And this was also on Shawn's list. And it's the winner of the 2020 European Union Prize for Literature. It's by Lana Bastasic. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I didn't practice that one. It's also a debut novel and an emotionally rich excavation of the complicated relationship between two women in a fractured post-war Bosnia as they venture into their treacherous terrain of the Balkan wonderlands and their own history. And I haven't read anything about Bosnia or the Balkans, so this already sounded interesting to me. And it's about friendship and two women who are friends. So let me just read you a little bit about it. It's been 12 years since inseparable childhood friends Lejla, I think it's Lejla, and Sarah have spoken, but an unexpected phone call thrust Sarah back into a world she left behind, a language she's buried, and painful memories that rise unbidden to the surface. Lejla's magnetic pull hasn't lessened despite the distance between Dublin and Bosnia, or the years of silence imposed by a youthful misunderstanding, and Sarah finds herself returning home driven by curiosity and guilt. Embarking on a road trip from Bosnia to Vienna in search of Lejla's exiled brother Armin, the two travel down the rabbit hole of their shared past and questions how they've arrived at their present disparate realities. So, the blurb also compares this to Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend, which I haven't read but has been touted a lot on BookTube. And I'm thinking of reading that one. So, I'm for this one. I'm in. And this was also, like I said, on Shawn's list. By the way, I'm going to have Shawn's video linked below. So please check it out, because he's 100% a prolific reader than I am. So, I think the next novel is, well, before I get to the next novel, which are my picks, I wanted to just say that in the story that in the novel that I was talking about, I want to go back to The Three Rooms, and let me tell you one thing that did hold me back from wanting to buy it was that her writing was compared to Odessa Mosfeg and Zadie Smith. I attempted to read My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I wasn't very successful. I abandoned it, and one thing why I abandoned it was maybe it wasn't her fault. I didn't like the writing, but I was hoping that My Year of Rest and Relaxation was really about rest and relaxation, but it wasn't. And Odessa Mosfeg is a very up-and-coming novelist. So, and Zadie Smith, I like her nonfiction, but I don't get along with her fiction. So that's what kept me from going on that train, of riding that train right away. So let me just tell you the books that I picked that weren't on Shawn's list. And believe me, there weren't a lot of them, because a lot of the books that were on these 32 book list were books that I really, really don't like. Horror, a lot of deep fantasy, just, some beach reads that were very, really light romance, or what they used to call women's fiction, and I wasn't into it. I'm not saying that they were all bad, but they weren't for me. So what did I pick that wasn't on his list? One was called The Killing Hills by Chris Offutt. And The Killing Hills is a compelling, propulsive thriller in which a suspicious death exposes the loyalties and rivalries of a deep-rooted and fiercely private community in the Kentucky backwoods. So this is about Mick Hardin, a combat veteran now working as an Army CID agent, is home on leave that is almost done. His wife is about to give birth, but they aren't getting along. His sister, newly risen to sheriff, has just landed her first murder case, and local politicians are pushing for city police or the FBI to take the case. Are they convinced she can't handle it, or is there something else at work? She calls on Mick, who, with his homicide investigation experience and familiarity with the terrain, is well suited to staying under the radar. So, The Killing Hills is a novel of betrayals, sexual, personal, within and between the clans that populate the hollers, and the way it is so often shades into violence. And he, Chris Offutt, has delivered a dark, witty, and absolutely compelling novel of murder and honor with an investigator hero unlike any in fiction. And that sounded quite interesting to me. I'm someone who likes murder mysteries, not necessarily thrillers, but this sounds like a very well-written literary mystery or a literary thriller. The last book that I want to talk about that wasn't on Shawn's list is called Morningside Heights by Joshua Henkin. And this is about an older man. So like I said, the books that I picked were either younger women or, in this case, men or older men. So it's about a very triggering subject for some people, as I read on Goodreads and other places. It's about Alzheimer's. So if you don't want to hear about it, this is what it's about. So Ohio-born Prue Steiner arrives in New York in 1976, which is, by the way, the year that I left New York and came to Hawaii. She follows in a long tradition of young people determined to take the city by storm. But when she falls in love with and marries Spence Robin, her hotshot young Shakespeare professor, her life takes a turn she couldn't have expected. And then it goes to 30 years later. Something is wrong with Spence. The great man can't concentrate. He falls asleep reading the New York Review of Books. With their daughter Sarah away at medical school, Prue must struggle on her own to care for him. One day, feeling especially isolated, Prue meets a man, and the possibility of a new romance blooms. Meanwhile, Spence's estranged son from his first marriage has come back into their lives. And Arlo, a wealthy entrepreneur who invests in biotech, may be his father's last best hope. So it says about this book that it's a sweeping and compassionate novel about a marriage surviving hardship. It's about the love between women and men and children and parents, about the things we give up in the face of adversity and how to survive when life turns out differently from what we thought we signed up for. And being my age, anything is possible. I mean, when you hit 70, anything good or bad can be around the corner. So I'd like to read how people handle this. And Morningside Heights actually reminds me of a neighborhood. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask Catherine of Taking Tea with Catherine, because I'm thinking Morningside Heights was a neighborhood in New York City. So anyway, that's my response video to Shawn's much better produced video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you like this video, please support me by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, and I'll be back. I promise I won't sing too much. I am being pretty self-indulgent, but at my age, I mean, who cares, right? You don't mind. So until we meet again, my friends, aloha.